Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be going over at Tinto Talks number 64 for the upcoming game with the codename Project Caesar. This is going to detail a little bit of terrain, and it is written by St. Dave, and as he is the art director, he is a man of few words because he understands that picture is worth 1,000 words. So we're going to be looking at some pictures. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another Tinto Talks for Europa Universalis 5. I know you guys are starting to appreciate what's really going on here. This is another ruse. Much like how Project Caesar was the codename they used, Europa Universalis 5, it's a codename. Don't be fooled by the fact that you can wishlist this on Steam right now, and it has the art for Europa Universalis 5, and it appears to be Europa Universalis 5. You know, this is just a complex thing to misdirect from the far more reasonable name. Europa Universalis 5, that's not a reasonable name for a game. You know what's a reasonable name for a game? It is in fact an anagram of what the game's title is going to be, which of course is Larva Pious Universe. Okay, let's continue on. This one is a bit special, indeed it is. This is the first time we will go into depth in one of the visual systems that we have in game. And I'm excited for this one because I think this one's pretty cool. Usually the visual stuff doesn't really interest me as much, although to be fair, I don't think I'll see this that much in game because I don't zoom in enough, but I do think it's very cool. Bear in mind, this is all work in progress, but feedback is always welcome, or as always, feedback is welcome. Armies are one of the most important features in the game, and certainly economics, and certainly combat is one of the most exciting things to interact with, so we thought it was important that the feeling was just right. Unlike in previous games, armies appear as groups comprised of multiple individual soldiers. The number of soldiers reflects the size of the armies. The median army is about 15 models, however they do range from a minimum of 1 soldier, that's a small army, to a maximum of 30 in very extreme cases. So we have dynamic armies. I just wanted to note also, for those of you who cared about the terrain map, we do appear to have a terrain map mode that is similar to Imperator, as far as I understand it. That was a bit of an update with like the elevation and this type of stuff that people were asking for, and it has been delivered. This is not as much something I care about. But let's take a look at, that's a one-man army. Of course, he is in fact bigger than a horse, as one does. A very strong army there. And then also, we do have a ragtag group of guys. They're not all dressed in the same finery, this type of stuff. And then we have a real big army, a proper, group of scallywags who are far bigger than horses, so they're probably going to get it done. Each soldier is modeled into the representation of a specific regiment in your army. Aside from reflecting your country in its colors, it also reflects that regiment's specific unit type, culture, and ethnicity. Very dynamic. This means that a unit model will have the appropriate weaponry for their unit type, for example, crossbowmen versus archers, but also that multi-ethnic empires will have visibly diverse armies in their uniform style and skin color. So if you're playing the Ottomans and you have like Janissaries, and those are grouped together with, Turkish regulars, then it will look a little bit different. You can see here we got crossbowmen. They do have different coloring on their shirts and stuff, though. Here we can see that we have mostly longbowmen with varying degrees of kind of outfits and attire, which is, interesting. Let's continue on with that. Units are further randomized by picking random texture materials for each component. It might be as simple as swapping leather for cloth, or it might be even changing the pattern of cloth that's used. In general, we approach this idea of having 3-tier troops to represent the weight of each unit: peasant, soldier, and knight. Those guys look like peasants, or he's death incarnate. I am become death, harvester of souls. Okay. And then these guys, if we take a look in here, do appear a little bit more regular. And then these guys appear to be strapping lads. And by strapping, I mean they're strapped. And by they're strapped, I mean they can afford actual armor, which is, not the norm. Knights didn't die in battle because they had armor. They just kind of got tired and then they got captured. They died in battle, but, not as often. Although some features are exaggerated to be visible from distant camera we use in-game, you mean like them being bigger than horses? Unit models always closely based on real references. Historical authenticity is key to our artistic decisions, and that includes here. Units will adopt a new visual age only when they upgraded to a unit from that age, so your units won't instantly swap from Reformation clothing to the moment you enter the Reformation. You will need to embrace relevant institutions, research relevant advances, and then upgrade your regiments. Very cool. Here's an example of how European peasant levies developed through the ages. Here we have, those dudes have guns, okay. These dudes also have guns, but, you know, look a little bit more dapper. These guys are starting to look a little bit more close to the colonial area, still strapped. And these guys, top hats, man. Very cool. And some examples of professional soldiers. See these guys? Feather hats. Those aren't top hats. These guys, helmets. They learned that those protect your head. These guys are in Napoleonic looking kind of stuff. And whoop, whoop. These guys are looking a little bit more modern. And by modern, I mean nowhere close to the modern era. They're still firing muskets. Single shot with bayonets. But they do look nice. Unit appearances is also modified. I added an S there, and I was about to throw Dave under the bus because my brain just added an S. And I was like, it's a plural. It's a plural, Dave, but it was a singular. I'm just a silly willy. Unit appearance is also modified by a hidden system we call Uniformity. And this is the one I think is super cool, which is essentially a calculation of discipline, experience, army tradition, and whether or not the levies are regular troops. As a regiment gains in uniformity, they will gradually gain progress towards the ideal look for your country, which is generated from your primary culture. In most countries, ideal is randomly generated, but some are specifically designed to be historical. Historically speaking, most peasant levies were not pitchfork wielders, but were typically outfitted with a minimum of cheap weaponry and often a helmet. With the uniformity, we represent the full range, from squishy farmers to ironclad gendarmes. I don't know the French. Yeah, this is the French. The French guys, I don't know how to pronounce it. As they climb higher up the uniformity scale, the more they will draw from the soldier pool of assets, taking a helmet here, a polearm there, until they are fully outfitted for war. So as your soldiers or as your army becomes kind of a better army, it will look more army-like rather than, you know, hodgepodge of dudes hanging out for a reenactment, you know, kind of festival on the weekend. Furthermore, some elements will look fancier if you have high uniformity. For example, raw leather straps get blackened or whitened, and some wigs may get powdered. We do prefer them powdered. Foreign culture in units in your employ will gradually adopt elements of your primary culture's clothing as they become more uniform. So here we can see ragtag. This is, you know, enactment people. Historical reenactment people. Here, it's starting to look a little bit similar. We notice this guy's got the strap. He's got the strap. This guy does not have the strap. Things are looking a little bit different, and then bam, they all look the same. Perfect, and this is based off of factors that relate to your army's quality. As they march across the world map, audio will reflect visuals. You will be able to hear the size of your army. Womp womp. That's not a womp womp moment. Also, the equipment of the individual soldiers, peasants wearing light cotton tunics, will sound differently from the plate troops brandishing steel. We didn't notice this as much because we weren't paying as close attention for this. Also, we weren't zoomed in, but this is still really cool. EU5, allegedly, or is it a larva pious universe? Comment below. Will release with 7 main graphical archetypes. As well as impacting unit appearance, archetypes are built primary ways in which we have divided other parts of the game, such as character portraits, city buildings, event illustrations, UI skins. I think this also applies to music, but Central American, East Asian, European, Middle Eastern, North American, South Asian, Sub-Saharan African. And I do think there's like a music suite for each of these as well, but I'm not 100% sure. The music you get as Mali is different than the music you get as Korea, which is different than the music you get as Milan. Those are the 3 I played extensively and got to hear a lot of the soundtracks. But here are some examples of some non-European units. Through some of those, some are a little bit lacking, a little bit polished that we have on the Europeans, because of course they finished the Europeans first. Is those Ottomans? Blue? I didn't know they had blue color. Surely that's not, right? Here we see these appear to be Native Americans, or, well, pre-Americans. When I attended university, there was like Native American was considered like problematic, and so they were using the term pre-American, but I don't think that PC thing ever caught on in terms of pre-American. And I think correcting, yeah. Anyways, continuing on, these Janissaries, man. And these guys, I don't know where these guys are from, if not European. But we are getting, actually we're probably starting to go ahead. Yeah, we started, these are the non-Europeans, these 5, where we do have some of the indigenous people. Because they weren't Native Americans before it was called American, were they? Yeah, so that's like the entire idea. Anyways, and finally, remember to wishlist Europa Universalis 5 now. And by wishlist Europa Universalis 5, he of course means wishlist Larva Pious Universe, but they're just not telling us that that's the name of the game just quite yet. We do get a few more screenshots of some strapping gentlemen who are in fact strapped, as one does. Is that a bayonet? What's that? Is that the loading thing? Okay. But anyways, that's just kind of a little bit of a short one. Mainly looking at some pictures. I really think that this dynamic system is very, very cool, especially how your armies will get... this is the part I think is coolest, that as the quality of your army increases, they start to all have the same uniforms and this type of thing. I don't zoom in a lot, so I won't necessarily see this all that much, but if you zoom in a lot, this type of stuff is really, really cool. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing. Have a happy Wednesday, and feel free to subscribe, or not subscribe. We did say subscribe, but I was going to say wishlist Europa Universalis 5 on Steam, but of course, it's not Europa Universalis 5, it's Larva Pious Universe.